You know what? I think it's time you signed the house over to me. The words hit the dinner table like a slap. My fork froze halfway to my mouth, loaded with Mom's dry meatloaf. Around me, my family kept chewing as if my sister hadn't just asked me to hand over a $250,000 property. My name is Yolanda, and I'm 36 years old. I work in corporate finance, live alone in a downtown condo, and apparently, I'm the family ATM. Excuse me? I set my fork down carefully. Eliza beamed at me from across the table, her engagement ring catching the light. Mohammed and I have been talking, and we think it makes sense. I mean, I've been living there for 2 years already. The kids are settled. It feels like home. Your home, Mohammed added, squeezing her hand. Where you belong. I looked around the table. Dad was nodding slowly, like this made perfect sense. Mom was already tearing up, probably thinking about how romantic it all was. Let me get this straight, I said. You want me to sign over Grandma's house, the house she left to me, the house I've been paying utilities, taxes, and maintenance on while you live there rent-free. Don't make it sound so transactional, Eliza said, her voice getting that whiny edge it always had when she didn't get her way immediately. We're family. Exactly, Dad jumped in. Family helps family. You don't even live there, Yolanda. What do you need it for? I stared at him. What do I need my own property for? You're being dramatic, Mom said, reaching over to pat Eliza's hand. Honey, your sister has been through so much with the divorce. She's finally found happiness again. Don't you want that for her? The thing is, I did want happiness for Eliza. When her marriage imploded 2 years ago, and she showed up at my door with 12-year-old Georgia and 8-year-old Marcus, both crying and confused, I didn't hesitate. I handed her the keys to Grandma's house that same night. Stay as long as you need, I told her. Don't worry about rent or bills. Just focus on getting back on your feet. For 24 months, I'd paid every expense. The mortgage was long gone, but property taxes, insurance, utilities, repairs, it all came out of my account. When the water heater died last winter, I bought a new one. When Georgia wanted to paint her room purple, I paid for the paint and hired someone to do it right. I visited every Sunday, bringing groceries and helping with homework. I never asked for a timeline, never pressured her to contribute, never made her feel like a burden, and now she wanted me to just give it to her. The kids need stability, Eliza continued. Georgia's in middle school now. We can't keep disrupting their lives. Who said anything about disrupting their lives? I asked. Mohammed leaned forward. Well, we're planning to get married next spring. I'll be moving in. We want to start fresh, you know? Make it officially ours. It's not yours to make official. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Yolanda, Dad's voice had that warning tone. Don't be selfish. Selfish? The word came out sharper than I intended. You have your own place, Mom said. A nice condo downtown. You don't need 2 homes. Eliza has children to think about. And I've been thinking about them for 2 years. Every time I paid the electric bill. Every time I fixed something that broke. Every time I... We never asked you to do all that, Eliza interrupted. The silence that followed was deafening. You never asked, I repeated slowly. I mean, we appreciated it, obviously, but we never asked you to be a martyr about it. Mohammed nodded. Right. And now we're offering to take that burden off your shoulders. Win-win. I looked at each of them. Dad, who'd always favored Eliza. Mom, who'd spent 36 years making excuses for her youngest daughter. Eliza, who'd somehow convinced herself that 2 years of free housing meant she'd earned ownership. And Mohammed, who'd been in the picture for 6 months and was already making decisions about my property. I need to think about it, I said finally. What's to think about? Dad asked. Do the right thing. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I said I need to think about it. As I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, I heard Eliza call after me. Don't take too long, okay? We want to start planning renovations. I didn't turn around. I didn't trust myself to speak. But as I sat in my car in their driveway, one thought crystallized in my mind with perfect clarity. If they thought I would just roll over and hand them a house, they'd forgotten whose name was actually on the deed. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I needed time to think, and I couldn't do that while reviewing quarterly reports. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table with Grandma's will spread out in front of me. The language was clear. To my granddaughter Yolanda Mitchell, I leave my house at 847 Maple Street, along with all contents therein. Not to be shared with the family. Not to help Eliza when she needs it. To me. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Honey, please don't let pride get in the way of doing what's right for the children. I set the phone aside and pulled out a photo album I hadn't looked at in years. There was Grandma in her garden, teaching me to plant tomatoes when I was 8. There was Christmas morning when I was 16, Grandma handing me a small wrapped box. This is for you, sweetheart, she'd said, for being my responsible girl. Inside was a key. The spare key to her house. Why are you giving this to me? I'd asked. Grandma had glanced toward the living room where Eliza was tearing through presents like a tornado. Because some people take care of things, and some people need to be taken care of. You're the first kind. Even then, she'd known. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Easton. We'd worked together at my previous job before he moved into real estate. If anyone could give me straight answers, it was him. Yolanda, long time no talk. What's up? I need some advice, hypothetically speaking. Uh-oh. Hypothetical advice is usually the most expensive kind. What's going on? I explained the situation, keeping it vague. A family member living in a property I owned, now wanting ownership transferred. Hypothetically, Easton said, how quickly could someone sell a house if they needed to? Depends on the market and the price. Why? Your hypothetical person thinking of selling instead of transferring? Maybe. Smart hypothetical person. Cash buyers can close in 2 weeks if the price is right, especially if it's a nice property in a good neighborhood. And the current occupants? Would have to be out before closing. That's standard. After we hung up, I sat staring at the will again. Grandma had been clear about her intentions. She'd left the house to me because she trusted me to handle it responsibly. Signing it over to Eliza because she demanded it wasn't responsible. It was enabling. My phone rang. Eliza. Hey, I was thinking we could grab lunch today. Talk about the house stuff. I'm not feeling well today. Oh no. Are you okay? Do you need anything? The concern in her voice almost made me laugh. I'm fine. Just need rest. Okay, well, feel better. But maybe we could talk tomorrow? Mohammed found this great contractor who could start on the kitchen renovation next month. Eliza, I haven't agreed to anything yet. I know. But it doesn't hurt to plan, right? Oh, and Georgia asked if she could paint the living room. She has this whole vision for it. She wants to paint the living room? Just an accent wall. Nothing crazy. She's so excited about making it feel more like home, you know? After she hung up, I walked to my window and looked out at the city. Somewhere across town, my niece was planning to paint walls in a house that might not be hers much longer. The thought made my chest tight, but then I remembered Mohammed's smug face last night. The way he'd talked about taking the burden off my shoulders, like he was doing me a favor. The way my parents had looked at me like I was the villain for not immediately handing over a $250,000 asset. I called Easton back. That hypothetical situation we discussed? I need to know more about those cash buyers. Getting less hypothetical? Much less. I can make some calls. Discreet ones. Would your hypothetical person want to meet with someone this week? Yes. And they'd want this handled quietly? No signs? No public listings? Definitely. Okay. I'll reach out to a few contacts. People who buy investment properties, flip houses, that sort of thing. They're used to quick, quiet transactions. Easton? Yeah? Thanks. And this stays between us for now. Of course. But Yolanda? Whatever's going on, make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. After we hung up, I made another pot of coffee and opened my laptop. I started researching property values in Grandma's neighborhood. The house was worth more than I'd thought, significantly more. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a group text from Eliza to the whole family. So excited to start planning our new life in our new home. Mohammed and I are thinking of hosting a housewarming party next month. Stay tuned for details. I stared at the message. Our new home? Our housewarming party. I typed back, sounds lovely. But as I hit send, I was already scrolling through my contacts for a real estate attorney's number. 3 days later, I sat across from a woman named Patricia in a coffee shop downtown. She wore a crisp blazer and had the kind of handshake that meant business. Easton says you're looking to sell quickly and quietly, she said, pulling out a tablet. I represent investors who specialize in exactly that. How quickly are we talking? My client can close in 10 days if the property checks out. Cash offer. No financing contingencies. Minimal inspections. He's looking for rental properties in established neighborhoods. I slid a folder across the table. Property details, recent photos, tax records. Patricia flipped through the documents. Beautiful house, well maintained. This neighborhood. She pulled up something on her tablet. Comparable sales are strong, very strong. What kind of offer? She named a number that made me blink. It was $15,000 over what I'd expected. He's serious about closing fast, she explained. Time is money in his business. When can we schedule a walkthrough? That's complicated. The house is currently occupied. Family? My sister and her children. They're living there, temporarily. Patricia nodded like she'd heard this before. How temporarily? They don't know about the sale yet. Ah, she leaned back. That is complicated. My client will need the property vacant at closing. Non-negotiable. I understand. Can you guarantee vacancy by closing date? I thought about Eliza's text messages, her renovation plans, Mohammed's smug confidence. Yes. Then we have a deal, pending inspection. I'll need you to sign a confidentiality agreement. No signs, no public records until after closing. My client values discretion. Perfect. We shook hands, and she handed me a business card. I'll have contracts ready by tomorrow. One question. Are you sure about this? Family situations can get messy. I'm sure. That evening, Eliza called while I was reviewing the sale contract. Hey, so I know you're still thinking about the house thing, but I wanted to invite you to dinner tomorrow night. Mohammed's cooking, and the kids miss you. At the house? Of course. Where else? Oh, and I invited Mom and Dad too. Mohammed wants to show off his famous pasta sauce. I'll be there. Great. And Yolanda? I really hope we can work this out. The kids are so happy there. George is already planning her birthday party for next month. After she hung up, I stared at the contract in front of me. All it needed was my signature. I signed it. The next evening, I arrived at Grandma's house with a bottle of wine and a smile I'd practiced in the mirror. The smell of garlic and herbs hit me as soon as Eliza opened the door. You made it. She hugged me tight. Mohammed's been cooking all afternoon. The house looked different. New throw pillows on the couch. A different arrangement of furniture. Family photos on the mantel that hadn't been there before. Pictures of Eliza and Mohammed, the kids at a recent carnival. Aunt Yolanda. Georgia ran over and hugged me. Look what I drew for my room. She showed me a sketch of how she wanted to redecorate. New paint colors, furniture arrangements, even curtains she'd picked out online. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Mohammed said he'd help me paint it next weekend. We're going to make it perfect. Mohammed appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. Yolanda, welcome to our home. Our home. There it was again. Thanks for having me. Of course. This is family dinner, right? And soon we'll all be family officially. He put his arm around Eliza's waist. Speaking of which, have you given any more thought to our conversation? I have. Mom and Dad arrived before I could say more. Dad immediately started talking to Mohammed about some business idea he had, while Mom fussed over the table settings. Doesn't everything look wonderful? Mom said to me. Eliza has such a gift for making a house feel like home. During dinner, Mohammed dominated the conversation. He talked about his plans for the house, his business ventures, his vision for their future together. I'm thinking we could convert the basement into a home office, he said. Really maximize the space, you know? Maybe add a bathroom down there. That sounds expensive, I said. Well, once the house is officially ours, we can look into a home equity loan. Build some real value. Eliza squeezed his hand. Mohammed has such great ideas. And the backyard, he continued. We could put in a deck, maybe a hot tub. Really make it an entertainment space. The kids would love that, Dad said. I took a sip of wine and watched them plan renovations for a house that would be sold in 6 days. After dinner, while Mohammed and Dad discussed financing options, Eliza pulled me aside. So, what do you think? About what? About signing over the house. You can see how happy we are here, how settled the kids are. I looked around the living room. Georgia was showing Mom her homework at the kitchen table. Marcus was building something with Legos on the floor. It did look like a family home. I can see that. And Mohammed really wants to contribute, you know? He feels weird living in a house that belongs to his fiancé's sister. It would mean so much to him if this was really ours. I'm sure it would. So, my phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Inspection scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Closing date confirmed for Monday. I looked up at Eliza's hopeful face. I'll let you know soon. How soon? Very soon. The inspection happened while Eliza was at work and the kids were at school. I met Patricia and her client, a quiet man in his 50s who walked through the house taking notes on his phone. He spent 20 minutes checking the foundation, the roof, the electrical panel. Solid house, he told Patricia. Well maintained. I'll take it. Just like that? Just like that. Patricia handed me a folder. Final contracts. We close Monday at 2 p.m. I signed everything in Grandma's kitchen. The same kitchen where she'd taught me to make her famous apple pie. The same kitchen where Eliza had cried 2 years ago, telling me about her divorce. The occupants will be out by Monday morning? Patricia asked. They'll be out. That evening, Eliza called with excitement in her voice. Guess what? Mohammed surprised me with a housewarming party. This Saturday. He invited all his friends and some of my coworkers. Isn't that sweet? A housewarming party? I know. We haven't made it official yet, but he said we should celebrate our new beginning. He's so confident you'll do the right thing. Saturday is in 2 days. I know it's short notice, but you have to come. It won't be the same without you. Plus, everyone's dying to meet the sister who's been so generous. Saturday arrived gray and drizzly. I stood on the front porch of Grandma's house, holding a bottle of champagne and listening to laughter from inside. Through the window, I could see people I didn't recognize filling the living room. Mohammed opened the door with a huge grin. Yolanda, the woman of the hour. Woman of the hour? The generous sister. Come in. Everyone's been asking about you. The house was packed. Mohammed's friends clustered around the kitchen island, drinking beer and talking loudly. Eliza's coworkers occupied the living room, admiring the decorations she'd put up. Yolanda, Eliza appeared with a glass of wine. I'm so glad you're here. Come meet everyone. She dragged me from group to group, introducing me as my amazing sister who made all this possible. People shook my hand and told me how lucky Eliza was to have such supportive family. This is such a beautiful home, one of Mohammed's friends said. You guys are so lucky. We are, Mohammed agreed. appearing beside us. And it's going to be even better once we start renovations. Right, Yolanda? Everyone looked at me expectantly. We'll see. Oh, she's being modest, Eliza laughed. She's practically already said yes, haven't you? Before I could answer, Mom appeared. Of course she has. Yolanda always does the right thing. Speaking of which, Mohammed raised his voice, getting everyone's attention. I want to make a toast. The room quieted down. He climbed onto a chair, holding his beer bottle high. To Eliza, the love of my life, and to this beautiful house that's going to be our forever home. And to Yolanda, who's making it all possible by officially signing it over to us next week. Everyone cheered and clapped. I felt dozens of eyes on me, waiting for my reaction. Actually, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I haven't made that decision yet. The room went quiet. Mohammed's smile faltered. But you said, Eliza started? I said I'd think about it. I'm still thinking. Well, I'm sure you'll make the right choice, Dad said quickly, trying to smooth things over. Family comes first. It does, I agreed. The party continued, but the energy had shifted. People kept glancing at me, whispering to each other. I found myself in the kitchen with Georgia, who was helping serve snacks. Aunt Yolanda, are you really going to give us the house? What do you think I should do? She considered this seriously. I love living here, but it's your house. Grandma gave it to you. She did. Mom says you don't need it because you have your own place. That's true. But just because you don't need something doesn't mean you have to give it away, right? Smart kid. Right. Later, I found myself in the backyard with Easton, who'd stopped by briefly. How are you holding up? He asked. They're planning renovations. Mohammed talked about a home equity loan. On a house he doesn't own? Apparently. Yolanda, you know you don't have to go through with this, right? The sale, I mean. You could still back out. I watched through the window as Mohammed held court in the living room, gesturing grandly while telling some story. Eliza hung on his every word, laughing at all the right moments. No, I said. I'm not backing out. You sure? I'm sure. As the party wound down, I helped Eliza clean up. We worked in comfortable silence until she finally spoke. I'm sorry about Mohammed's toast. He got carried away. Did he? He's just excited. We both are. This house, it feels like home, you know? Like where we're supposed to be. I know. So you'll do it? You'll sign it over? I dried the last glass and set it in the cabinet. I'll let you know Monday. Monday? Monday. That night, I sat in my condo with the closing documents spread across my coffee table. In 12 hours, I'd be signing papers that would change everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Eliza. Thank you for tonight, and thank you for everything. I love you. I stared at the message for a long time before turning off my phone. Monday morning, I sat in the law office conference room with Patricia and her client, a stack of papers in front of me. The closing took exactly 43 minutes. Congratulations, the attorney said, sliding the final document across the table. The property is officially sold. I signed my name one last time and accepted the cashier's check. The house that had been in my family for 30 years now belonged to a stranger. The new owner will need the property vacant by 5 p.m. today, Patricia reminded me. Will that be a problem? No problem at all. I drove home and put the check in my safe. Then I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 23 text messages. I didn't listen to any of them. Instead, I made lunch and watched a movie. Around 3 p.m., my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Eliza standing there, mascara streaked down her cheeks. I opened the door. What did you do? Her voice was raw from crying. I sold the house. You what? I sold it. To a cash buyer. They took possession this afternoon. She stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. You can't sell the house. We live there. Not anymore. Where are my kids supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. You don't know. Her voice cracked. Yolanda, we have nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before you tried to steal my house. Steal? I never. You demanded I sign over property that wasn't yours. You threw a housewarming party in a house you didn't own. You made renovation plans with money you didn't have. What would you call that? She collapsed into my hallway chair, sobbing. I thought you were going to give it to us. You said you'd think about it. I did think about it. I thought about how you never once thanked me for 2 years of free housing. I thought about how you let your fiancé talk about taking the burden off my shoulders. I thought about how Mom and Dad called me selfish for not immediately handing over a $250,000 asset. But the kids will be fine. You'll figure it out. How can you be so cold? I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The same sister who'd borrowed my car in high school and returned it with a dented bumper. The same sister who'd asked me to co-sign her first apartment lease, then moved out without telling me, leaving me responsible for the remaining rent. The same sister who'd cried at every family gathering about how hard her life was, while I quietly paid for everything. I'm not cold, Eliza. I'm done. She wiped her nose with her sleeve. Mohammed says we can fight this. He says there are laws about tenant rights. Mohammed can say whatever he wants. You weren't tenants. You were guests. Guests who overstayed their welcome. I can't believe you're doing this to us. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for me. My phone rang. Dad's number. Answer it, Eliza said. Tell him you'll fix this. I declined the call. Yolanda, please. I'm begging you. The kids are scared. They don't understand what's happening. Then explain it to them. Explain what? That their aunt threw them out on the street? Explain that their mother made assumptions about property that didn't belong to her. She stood up, anger replacing the tears. You know what? Maybe Mohammed was right about you. Maybe you are jealous. Maybe you can't stand seeing me happy. If that's what you need to believe, it is. Because the sister I grew up with wouldn't do this. She wouldn't destroy her own family over a house. The sister you grew up with also wouldn't have been taken advantage of for 2 years. Taken advantage of? I never asked you to pay for anything. You didn't have to ask. You just expected it. Like you expected me to hand over the house. Like you've expected me to fix your problems your entire life. She stared at me for a long moment. I hate you. I know. I will never forgive you for this. I know that too. After she left, I sat in my living room and listened to the silence. My phone kept buzzing with calls and texts, but I ignored them all. Around 6 p.m., Patricia called. Everything went smoothly with the new owners. They're very happy with the property. Good. I have to ask, are you okay? This kind of situation, it can't be easy. I'm fine. Well, if you ever need to sell any other properties, you have my number. After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my balcony. Somewhere across town, my sister was probably calling every family member she could think of, telling them what a monster I was. Let her. For the first time in 2 years, I wasn't paying someone else's bills. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fixing Eliza's problems. It felt strange. It felt lonely. It felt like freedom. The next morning, I woke up to 37 missed calls. I made coffee and scrolled through the voicemails while eating breakfast. Dad's voice, tight with anger. Yolanda, call me back immediately. We need to discuss this situation. Mom crying, how could you do this to those babies? They're sleeping on our couch. Georgia keeps asking when they can go home. Mohammed furious. You think you're so smart. You think this is over? We'll see about that. And Eliza? Broken. The kids had to leave their friends. Marcus cried all night. I hope you're happy. I deleted them all without listening to the rest. At work, I tried to focus on quarterly reports. But my phone kept buzzing. Text after text from family members, friends of the family, even some of Eliza's co-workers from the party. How could you put children on the street? Family is supposed to stick together. Your grandmother would be ashamed. That last one was from my cousin Rachel, who I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. Around lunch, Easton stopped by my office. Heard through the grapevine that you went through with it. News travels fast. Small town, smaller real estate community. You okay? I'm fine. He sat down across from my desk. You don't look fine. I look tired. There's a difference. Your sister's been calling around trying to find out who bought the house. And Patricia's client values his privacy. She's not giving out information. Good. Yolanda, I have to ask, are you sure this was the right way to handle things? I looked up from my computer. What would you have done? I don't know. But maybe there was a middle ground. Like what? Let them live there forever while I paid all the bills? Sign over a house worth $250,000 because they demanded it? When you put it like that, that's exactly how it was. He was quiet for a moment. Your family's pretty upset. I know. Your mom called my mom, asked if I could talk some sense into you. And? I told her you're the most sensible person I know. After he left, I tried to get back to work, but my concentration was shot. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. Finally, I turned it off and shoved it in my desk drawer. At 3 p.m., my assistant knocked on my door. There's a woman here to see you. Says she's your mother. I found Mom in the lobby, clutching her purse like a lifeline. She looked like she'd aged 5 years overnight. We need to talk. Not here. Then where? You won't answer your phone. I led her to a coffee shop down the street. She ordered tea with shaking hands. The children are traumatized, she said without preamble. They'll recover. Georgia asked me why you hate them. That hit harder than I expected, but I kept my voice steady. I don't hate them. Then why did you do this? Because their mother tried to steal my house. Steal? Mom's voice rose. She's your sister. She needed help. I helped her for 2 years. I paid every bill, fixed every problem, never asked for a dime. That wasn't enough? She thought you were going to give her the house. She thought wrong. But why sell it? Why not just wait? Wait for what? For her to keep pressuring me? For Mohammed to keep talking about home equity loans on property he doesn't own? Mom dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. He's gone, you know. What? Mohammed. He left yesterday. Said he couldn't deal with the drama. I stared at her. He left Eliza? Packed his things and drove away. Didn't even say goodbye to the children. So he was only interested in her when she came with a free house. Don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being accurate. Your sister is devastated. She lost her home and her fiancé in the same day. She lost a house that was never hers, and a man who was using her. How can you be so heartless? How can you be so blind? We sat in silence for a moment. Finally, Mom spoke again. Your father wants to know if you'll reconsider. Maybe buy the house back? No. The new owners might sell? No. But the children will be fine. Eliza will find an apartment. She'll get a job. She'll figure it out like millions of other single mothers do every day. With what money? She hasn't worked in 2 years. That's not my problem anymore. Mom stood up abruptly. I don't know who you've become, but you're not the daughter I raised. You're right. The daughter you raised would have handed over the house and kept paying everyone else's bills for the rest of her life. And what's wrong with that? Everything. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, watching people hurry past the window. Normal people with normal problems, going about their normal lives. My phone, which I'd turned back on, buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Georgia. Mom gave me your number. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about everything. I know the house was yours. I hope you're not too sad. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. I'm not sad, sweetheart. I hope you're okay. I am. Mom says we're going to find a new place soon, maybe with a pool. That sounds nice. I love you, Aunt Yolanda. I love you too. I put my phone away and walked back to the office. For the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. 3 weeks later, Eliza called me at work. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. We need to talk. I'm at work. Then after work. Please, Yolanda. I need to explain some things. We met at a diner halfway between our locations. Eliza looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, clothes that looked like she'd slept in them. You look like hell, I said, sliding into the booth across from her. Thanks. That's exactly what I needed to hear. The waitress brought coffee without being asked. Eliza wrapped her hands around the mug like she was trying to warm herself. Mohammed's gone. Mom told me. Did she tell you why? Because he was using you? Eliza laughed bitterly. That's one way to put it. Want to know what he said when he left? I waited. He said he wasn't signing up to be homeless. Said he thought I had my shit together, but clearly I was just another broke single mom. Charming. He took the ring back, said he needed to return it to get his deposit back. I'm sorry. Are you? I considered the question. I'm sorry he hurt you. I'm not sorry he's gone. Because you never liked him. Because he was a user. And you let him use you. Eliza stirred her coffee absently. You want to know the worst part? I knew. Deep down, I knew he was only interested because of the house. But I convinced myself it was love. Why? Because I was tired of being alone. Tired of being the divorced mom with baggage. He made me feel valuable. You are valuable, just not because of what you own. Easy for you to say. You have your career, your independence. I have 2 kids and no job skills. You have a college degree. In art history. Real practical. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Eliza spoke again. I found out some things about Mohammed after he left. Like what? Like he's been engaged 3 times in the past 5 years. Always to women with assets. Always ends when the money situation changes. How did you find that out? His ex-wife called me. Apparently he pulled the same thing with her sister. She wanted to warn me, but it was too late. Jesus. Yeah. So congratulations, I guess. You were right about him. I didn't want to be right about him. Didn't you? I looked at her across the table. No, Eliza. I didn't want you to get hurt. I just didn't want to lose my house to a con artist. Is that what you think I am? A con artist? I think you're someone who's gotten used to other people solving your problems. She flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you paid your own rent? Your own utilities? Your own car insurance? I was married. And before that, you lived with Mom and Dad until you were 26. Then you married someone who took care of everything. Then you moved into my house where I took care of everything. So what are you saying? I'm saying, maybe it's time you learn to take care of yourself. Tears started flowing down her cheeks. I don't know how. Then figure it out. How can you be so cold? How can you be so helpless? She wiped her eyes with a napkin. The kids ask about you every day. What do you tell them? That you're angry at Mommy. I'm not angry at you, Eliza. I'm disappointed. What's the difference? Anger fades. Disappointment? That takes longer. She pulled out her phone and showed me a picture. Georgia and Marcus sitting on a couch I didn't recognize, doing homework. We're staying with Mom and Dad. All 4 of us in that tiny condo. The kids are sleeping on air mattresses in the living room. That's temporary. Is it? I applied for 12 jobs last week. Got 1 call back. They want someone with recent experience. So get experience. How? Who's going to hire someone who hasn't worked in 2 years? Someone will. You just have to keep trying. And in the meantime, my kids suffer. Your kids are learning that actions have consequences. That's not suffering. That's education. She stared at me. When did you become so hard? When I realized that being soft just enabled you to stay weak. Enabled me? Yes. Every time I fixed your problems, I took away your chance to grow. Every time I paid your bills, I kept you from learning to budget. Every time I rescued you, I made you more dependent. So this is for my own good? Maybe. And if I can't figure it out? If I fail? Then you fail. But at least you'll fail on your own terms, not because someone else stopped carrying you. She was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. I hate that you're probably right. I hate that I had to be. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you miss us? The Sunday dinners, helping with homework, being part of our lives? I thought about George's text messages, about Marcus's drawings that used to cover my refrigerator, about the way the house felt alive when they were there. Yes. Then why? Because missing you isn't the same as enabling you. She nodded slowly. I need to go. Mom's watching the kids and she has bridge club tonight. Eliza? Yeah? For what it's worth, I hope you figure it out. Me too. After she left, I sat in the diner for another hour, staring at my reflection in the window. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I pulled out my phone and called Easton. How are you holding up? He asked. I think I just had the most honest conversation I've ever had with my sister. How'd that go? Terribly. And maybe that's exactly what we both needed. The call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing budget reports. George's voice, excited and breathless. Aunt Yolanda, guess what? Mom got a job. I set down my pen. That's wonderful, sweetheart. What kind of job? She's working at an art gallery downtown. She gets to talk to people about paintings and stuff. She says it's like her college degree finally matters. I'm really happy for her. And we found an apartment. It's small, but it has 2 bedrooms, and Mom says I can paint my room any color I want. What color are you thinking? Purple, like at Grandma's house, but different. Mom says we're making new memories now. After we hung up, I sat staring at my computer screen. Part of me wanted to call Eliza, to congratulate her, to ask how she was doing, but I didn't. Some bridges needed time before they could be crossed again. That evening, Easton stopped by my condo with Chinese takeout. Heard through the mom network that your sister landed on her feet, he said, unpacking containers on my kitchen counter. Georgia called me. She sounded happy. Kids are resilient. How are you feeling about it? Relieved, I think. I was starting to wonder if I'd made a mistake. And now? Now I think maybe we both learned something. We ate in comfortable silence until Easton spoke again. I have some news about the house. I looked up from my low mane. What kind of news? Patricia's client? He's turning it into a rental property. Already has tenants lined up. A young family with twin toddlers. Good for him. The wife is a teacher. Husband works in IT. They're thrilled to find a place in that neighborhood. I nodded, surprised by how that made me feel. Not sad exactly, but complete somehow. The house would have children in it again. Laughter in the hallways, crayon marks on the walls. There's something else, Easton said. Your parents have been asking around about you. Asking what? How you're doing, if you're okay. Your mom apparently feels terrible about some of the things she said. She should. Maybe. But she's also worried about you. They all are. I'm fine. Are you? I considered the question. Was I fine? I had my job, my condo, my independence. I had peace and quiet and complete control over my finances. I also had Sunday dinners alone and no one to call when I had good news to share. I'm different, I said finally. I don't know if that's the same as fine. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hi, this is Marcus. Mom helped me get your number. I drew you a picture, but I don't know your address. Can I email it? I showed Easton the message. You going to respond? I don't know. He's 8 years old, Yolanda. He just wants to share his art with his aunt. I typed back, I'd love to see your picture. My email is, and gave him my address. Within minutes, my phone chimed with an email. The attachment was a drawing of a house. Not Grandma's house, but a smaller one with a red door and flowers in the front yard. Stick figures stood in the yard. A woman with long hair, a tall girl, and a shorter boy. At the bottom, in careful 8-year-old handwriting, our new home. Love, Marcus. I stared at the picture for a long time. You okay? Easton asked. They're going to be fine. Yeah, they are. And so am I. The next day, I did something I hadn't done in months. I called my mother. Yolanda? Her voice was cautious, surprised. Hi, Mom. How are you, honey? I'm okay. I heard about Eliza's job. Yes, she's doing really well, working hard. The kids are adjusting to the new place. I'm glad. There was a pause. Then, I owe you an apology. Mom, no, let me say this. I was wrong. About a lot of things. I spent so many years trying to protect Eliza that I forgot you needed support too. You were being a mother. I was being a bad mother. To both of you. We talked for 20 minutes. Not about the house, not about the fight, but about work and weather and the book club Mom had joined. Normal things. Safe things. When we hung up, I felt lighter somehow. That weekend, I drove past Grandma's house. There was a minivan in the driveway and toys scattered across the front lawn. Through the window, I could see the warm glow of lamps and the movement of people living their lives. I didn't stop. I didn't need to. On Sunday, I had dinner with Easton and his family. His kids showed me their school projects and argued over who got the last dinner roll. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. You should come over more often, his wife said as I helped clear the table. I'd like that. Driving home, I thought about revenge and justice and the difference between the two. I'd wanted to teach Eliza a lesson, to show her that actions have consequences. But maybe I'd learned something too, that protecting yourself doesn't have to mean destroying someone else. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from Georgia. Mom says maybe we can have lunch soon. Would you want to? I typed back, I'd love that. Because forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do isn't to hold a grudge. It's to let it go. The light turned green, and I drove toward home.